sure?
Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame Satyamayi Parame Satyamayi Parame Satyam Jnanam Satyam Jnanam Jyotir Aravinda Jyotir Aravinda Jyotir Aravinda.
So, Mother says one very, very reassuring and powerful thing, that from the beginning of time, the Divine had only one purpose for each of us, that each of us should come back to our truth and to live from that truth. And sometimes, and Mother says, the way humanity is made currently, this is not possible without pain. When our consciousness changes, maybe the path will be easier and we'll reach the truth without that pain. But the way we are now, it's very, very difficult to crack us open without doses of pain every now and then. And the Divine gives us that pain not to hurt us, not to punish us, but to fulfill this one purpose it has for each of us from the beginning of time. So sometimes we reach a space where we are overwhelmed with the difficulties of life, isn't it? Where we think and overthink and we can't find a solution. And at those times and even otherwise, the Mother gives us a beautiful solution in 3 words. She says, remember and offer. What does she ask us to remember? She asks us to remember that we are not just this. We are not an individual experiencing the cosmos outside. We are the cosmos having an individual experience. And if we are this cosmos, then any battle we have is not our individual battle, right? Every force of the universe works for us to solve it. Now, we may call this the Mother, the Guru, the generic term for all these evolutionary forces of the universe. So if we are saying that, Mother's asking us to remember that we are never alone in every battle. That she who's representative of all the evolutionary forces in the universe is with us with all these forces of light, and whatever went wrong did not go wrong randomly. It did not happen to us because we are bad or life is bad. It happened because there's a purpose to it. There's a growth we have to make through going through it. So she says, remember all this. In moments of darkness, remember that, and make the darkness less dark by offering, by really calling on those evolutionary forces which even in our ignorance are working for us. But how much more powerful their working becomes when we consciously call to them. So, in the Upanishad, there's a beautiful Sanskrit mantra which says in English, this says in Sanskrit. So, Mother says, remember and offer. This mantra is Shraddhaya Deyam. Give with Shraddha. Whatever is troubling you, don't hold it inside you. Offer it to the beyond, to the grace with faith that once you've offered it, it will be handled. Ashraddhaya Adeyam. If you don't have faith, don't offer, because then you'll say, I'm giving it but nothing is happening. Grace acts in proportion to your faith. So Shraddhaya Deyam, Ashraddhaya Adeyam. So in the Sandhi it becomes Ashraddhaya Deyam, but it's actually Adeyam. And then there is Shriya Deyam. Give with the abundance of your being, abundance of your faith, abundance of your sincerity. So let's start with this mantra. All of you just learn it first. Shraddhaya Deyam, Ashraddhaya Adeyam. So that shortens to Ashraddhaya Deyam. And then Shriya Deyam. Yeah? So I'll chant it once, then we'll say each line twice, second time with me.
Shraddhaya Deyam, Ashraddhaya Deyam, Shriya Deyam.
I'll say each line twice, second time with me.
Shraddhaya Deyam, Shraddhaya Deyam, Ashraddhaya Deyam, Ashraddhaya Deyam, Shriya Deyam, Shriya Deyam.
So let's do the whole thing together.
Shraddhaya Deyam, Ashraddhaya Deyam, Shriya Deyam.
So, based on this mantra, we'll do a little practice, a practical way of living this mantra. So, we all know that Lord Shiva is called the Neelkant because when the oceans were churned and the poisons arose, he's supposed to have swallowed them and they stayed stuck in his throat. So, he's called the Neelkant. But in one sense, all of us have a personalized Neelkant, our personalized mechanism to swallow our poisons in our own heart. The mother's presence in our heart is our personalized Neelkant, but it is acting to swallow the poisons of our being. But when we actively offer it to her, the whole action becomes so much faster, so much quicker, so much less suffering for us, isn't it? So, we'll do a little practice. We'll do emotional centering, which we've done in the past, but I always like to do it here because It's a very special place. So, for emotional centering, we work with this belt, which is our lower vital, which is the seat of all our suppressed emotions, unhappy emotions, etc. So, you're going to put your hands outside your pelvis like this and shut your eyes and just think of what emotion is troubling you right now or troubles you often. Is it loneliness? Is it sadness? Is it feeling not good enough, so constantly needing others to make you feel special? Whatever the emotion is, articulate it in your mind. Inhale in the region of your pelvic belt. Exhale, breathe it out from the pelvic belt into your palms as if they are magnets. 3 breaths, inhale, feel that emotion. Exhale, breathe it out into your palms. Now, if you don't know what to do, keep your eyes open and look. Exhale, I gather that emotion into an inverted namaste in front of my Swadhisthana, water element chakra. Inhale, stay. Exhale, pull up the inverted namaste and make it straight with Shraddhaya Deyam. Offer it to the heart, to the personalized Neelkant in my heart. Second time, emotional centering. Hands outside your pelvis. Articulate your emotion clearly. Feel its energy if you can in your pelvis. Inhale as if the inhalation is picking up the emotion. Exhale, the emotion is carrying it out into your palms. Exhale, collect it into an inverted V. Inhale, stay. Exhale, mentally say Shraddhaya Deyam. I'm offering this to the heart with all my faith. And the last time on your own without my guidance. Remember, inhale, stay, move on the exhalation. All the hand movements are on the exhalation. Inhale, stay. And once you're at the heart, offering this emotion, we do the chant one last time. Shraddhaya Deyam Ashraddhaya Deyam Shriya Deyam And then relax your hands. Just tell them to be softer. Relax your hands and then just visualize any positive outcome you really want for yourself. So maybe it's an outcome you want inside yourself, like you want to change something in yourself. Visualize yourself being like that in the future. or you want a positive outcome in your relationships or work. This one inside doesn't want us to offer just our poisons. It also invites us to offer to it our dreams. So visualize that positive outcome very properly. See yourself with the persons you want to be, laughing, harmonious, peaceful. Or if it's an inner outcome, visualize it however you'd like to visualize it. And visualizing that outcome, seeing it playing out in front of your eyes, from your heart send it metta. So these sentences, if it's only you in the visualization, the word I. If it's two people, the word two or more we. So may I be well, or may we be well. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be free. These 4 sentences ending in well, happy, peaceful and free on your own. And then as we chant the mantra again, this time we are offering this visualization to her feet. You will fulfill it in ways my mind can't imagine and in time frames that I cannot dictate. But you know and you will do in your own time. So with that prayer, let's chant the mantra one last time. Shraddhaya deyam, ashraddhaya deyam, Shriya deyam, So there's a poem, Come as a breath. This is the devotee praying to the divine. Come as a gold-spangled breath of presence, a mist of unseen gold. Gold always represents the supramental. So it's a prayer to Mother. Come as a gold-spangled presence, a mist of an unseen gold, out-coloring every hue. Hue is color of I-ness. So my ego, my I has different shades, right? Arrogance, inadequacy. So the devotee is praying to grace that come as a gold-spangled breath, a mist of an unseen gold that out-colors every color of the ego. The ego has many colors, but your gold, let it be so overpowering that every other color of the ego gets faded out. Out-coloring every hue of I-ness. swallowing every chord and discord of thought. Thoughts can be harmonious, they can be disharmonious, but swallow every chord and discord of thought. A breath invading all mightily, sovereignly. So the title of our talk is Breath of Grace. So I'm inviting that breath of grace that invades all of me mightily, more powerful than my darknesses, more powerful than my ego, mightily and sovereignly, dissolving the tenacious bid of the I to self-claim. For everything the I says, me, look at me, I should get the credit, this should happen, that should happen. So it's a prayer dissolving the tenacious bid of the I to self-claim into a molten flame of self-giving. So dissolve this egoistic bid to claim things for myself into a molten flame of self-giving. Come as a breath of a romance so supreme, not the ordinary romance, but the divine romance. Come as a breath of a romance so supreme that all of me is hushed into a silent anthem of love. So this is an aspiration of the devotee. I'm reading it. Come as a breath. Come as a gold-spangled breath of presence, a mist of an unseen gold, outcoloring every hue of I-ness, swallowing every chord and discord of thought, a breath invading all mightily and sovereignly, dissolving the tenacious bid of the I to self-claim into a molten flame of self-giving. Come as a breath of a romance so supreme that all of me is hushed into a silent anthem of love. These are words by M.P. Pandit from his volume 1 of Mother of Love. M.P. Pandit says, what is grace? It is the divine will acting out of an infinite compassion. Look at the word infinite, it's endless. And this grace, says the Mother, is there working for that transformation. I told you at the beginning, Mother says that the purpose of the divine since the beginning of time is to transform humanity so that it goes back to its truth and lives from that. So grace is working for that transformation. The response of grace does not depend upon deserts. For the grace, there is nothing like worthy or unworthy. And all she does or says, there is always the same unchanging love and compassion. There is no question of deserving and not deserving, because divine grace is grace. So once Mother said such a beautiful thing. She says that nobody can deserve grace. However great you are, grace is so big that nobody can deserve grace. So grace is always undeserved. There is no question of being undeserving of grace or being deserving of grace. It's always undeserved because it's always so big. So, for grace there is nothing like worthy or unworthy. And in all she does or says, there is always the same unchanging love and compassion. There is no question of deserving and not deserving, because the divine grace is grace and does not depend on merit. At each moment, the divine does what is best for you, because his purpose is to save you and liberate you. We may think that grace would be more for a sage and less for a murderer, but it's not so. The grace is available equally to all, but maybe the sage is more open to the grace. When the murderer becomes open to the grace, we all know stories of Angulimal and so many, what grace it has been. So it's not that grace has favorites, grace is equally available to everyone. Whether one feels it or does not, the grace acts. Even when you're unaware, the grace showers its light upon you. The grace, says the Mother, is infinite, and its love and compassion are boundless. If the grace it is that it is to achieve ultimately, is there any real necessity for effort? There is, answers Sri Aurobindo, for the grace acts in its own conditions. Until those conditions are fulfilled, the seeker has to put his contribution of personal effort. The conditions demanded are of a perfect sincerity, of utter surrender. Now, sincerity is a very nuanced word. What would be the different nuances of sincerity? Transparency, honesty, not fulfilling your desires under the guise of I'm doing it for the divine. Transparency again. And Mother says it beautifully, sincerity is allowing no influence to touch you but that of the divine. So that reminds me, in the Shama Kumari's vignettes, there was a beautiful story of a sadhak who had a dream that there were two tall figures who had come to him, come through his door, and they seemed to be bearing a bag of herbs. And in his dream, he's telling those figures that I don't know who you are, but if you've come from the Mother, welcome. Otherwise, please leave instantly. I mean, sincerity had gone that deep into his subconscious that even in his sleep state, he's saying that I'll be open to only a messenger from the Mother. Then anyway, the dream ended, and later on he asked the Mother was in her body, that was it correct what I saw in my dream? And who were these beings? So she said they were probably the Ashwini twins, you know, those twins who heal with herbs. But that's just a story. So now, the conditions demanded are of perfect sincerity, of utter surrender to the divine. Sincerity in this context means a total unification of all one's movements of body, mind and life around the central idea. And surrender is a big term. Mother said it very beautifully. Surrender is the decision to hand over the responsibility of your life to the divine. Shraddhaya deyam. I've given away this problem to you, now it's your baby. If I keep worrying about it, my surrender is incomplete, isn't it? I haven't given it away. It is a sadhana in itself. The true path is surrender, complete, absolute, unconditional surrender to the divine. If you give yourself entirely to the divine without asking for anything in exchange, if you merge your consciousness in the divine, it will put an end to your sufferings. But the surrender must be total, unconditioned, unbargaining, and absolute, including all your desires, your needs, your likings, your dislikings, your wishes, your wants, your wills, everything that constitutes your small person. And then you will find peace. The central process is to direct inward your consciousness, which is normally turned outward. The discipline must be constantly practiced, and little by little all parts of your being turn towards your soul instead of turning to the exterior and physical consciousness and being caught in it. Very difficult. If we are honest, sometimes days and days go by and we are only externally turned. We are not internalized at all. What Sri Aurobindo is saying is constantly the gaze should be within, and you live from inside out rather than constantly looking at the outside and seeing, I have to do this, I have to do that. The best way to hasten this change is the habit of going within. This is beautiful. Mother's words, these are mother's words, pay attention. For going within, you must sit comfortably or lie down, gather and bring back all the threads of your consciousness which are tied up to all the people and things around you. All that you think of, all that you want to do, etc., etc. So when you're sitting, right now your consciousness is thinking, this, I chatted with him, that I have to do, this happened, that happened. So she's saying you must sit comfortably or lie down and bring back all the threads of your consciousness, disconnect with the world. I read something very beautiful. In Finland, they train their children to have a short period of time before they sleep. It's called your worry hour. So the children take out a book and they write down everything that's worrying them. Then they are given a mandate. Now you are not allowed to worry about it. Now you go to sleep without worrying about it. Now it sounds, but as the children grow up, they learn to be able to cut off from emotions when they want to and process them when they have the time to. We are not suppressing it. We are giving them time to let it out. But then we are saying now, so when you sit to meditate, it's a training. I'll worry about this or I'll think about this afterwards. For these 15 minutes or whatever time, I'm not allowed to think about it. So, for going within, you must sit comfortably or lie down, gather and bring back all the threads of your consciousness which are tied up to people and things around you, all that you think of, all that you want to do. Once this is done, you focus all your attention inside yourself, deep inside your chest, the psychic center, and you concentrate there until you reach a state of peace and immobility. You may not succeed the first time, but you will try again and again until you succeed. In that state of quiet and silent immobility, you will be in contact with your soul, unite with it and feel free. So cut your threads with everything outside, go within and concentrate. And Mother somewhere else writes, bring an attentive silence, as if you're trying to listen to something that has no sound. But just listen with that attentive silence and don't try to do anything. See, we'll try to talk to the mother, bring her image, and all that is fine. But another way is to just concentrate here and do nothing, but just listen and listen and listen. Okay, now this other passage. The mother lays stress on the positive attitude to life in preference to the negative, which leans too much on negation, rejection and elimination. So the old way of Vedanta is neti neti, not this, reject this, reject that. But Mother says, instead of that, instead of rejecting the negative, invite the positive. I don't remember it exact words, but Sri Aurobindo said something to the effect that let the light grow. As for the shadow, it's merely a shadow and it will disappear with the growing light. So Mother's is the sunlit path of inviting sunshine in, not the endless way of flushing out darkness only. Therefore, in the meditation we did at the beginning, yes, we offered our darkness, but that's not enough. we also reached out for the light and the positive outcome. So Mother says focus on that also. So concentrating upon the divine, adoration of the divine, convergence of one's consciousness through its highest attained summits on the divine reality, cultivating and nurturing of a consuming love for the divine. These are the capital ways that lead to the Mother's sunlit path. Her way, we may say, is first and last the way of divine love. It is because of this love of the divine for his creatures that redemption is at all possible. She quotes Sri Aurobindo on the point. The divine guide within is not offended by our revolt, not discouraged by our want of faith or repelled by our weakness. He has the entire love of the mother and the entire patience of a teacher. What a reassurance. After reading this, how can we ever fear the divine? He's telling us the divine guide within is never offended by our revolt. Sometimes we feel a revolt, not discouraged by our want of faith or repelled by our weakness. He has the entire love of the mother and the entire patience of a teacher. And she adds, love is the origin of the world and love is its goal. Also, true love is the master of the world. So somewhere Sri Aurobindo writes, no, he who is the master of the universe is a slave to love. If the devotee's heart calls him with love, he just drops everything and comes. So true love is the master of the world, and eventually it will conquer everything. Love from above is indeed ever flowing, but it must be linked to love from below, from the human end. Beautiful. Grace is constantly, the breath of grace is constantly upon our lives. It's there now. But when there's a love, human love which reaches out and meets it, that's when magic happens. And this is easy, for in the heart of every creature, there is already a natural love for its maker. So beautiful. And within the heart of every creature, even if it's behind many veils, in the heart of every creature, there is already a natural love for its maker. Only it is veiled by curtain of ignorance, by the curtain of ignorance. As the mother puts it expressively, love is a sure means of attaining to the divine. For as she says, you are close to what you love. If you love God, you immediately feel close to Him. If you love the mother, you instantly feel her. So I had read one poem, it was beautiful, where the devotee was saying that I have all these defects in me, but still come, for there is something deep within which has not stopped loving you for even one moment in time. I've been through all the roller coasters of lifetimes. I've sinned, I've done this, I've done that. But still I have a right to call you, because there's something deep within which has not stopped loving you for even one moment in time. And in Savitri, there's a line, love is man's lien on the absolute. Lien is right. I love you, so with all my defects, I have a right to you. Love is man's lien on the divine. So, there is much else of practical import in the pages of this volume. Now, we come to, so we have to open ourselves to the light, but that doesn't mean we don't also address the shadow. So these are mother's words. Jealousy is deadly poison that is fatal to the soul. You know why? Because when we are, see, the soul represents truth, isn't it? Now, the moment you're jealous, it will distort truth. Have you noticed the first movement of anyone you're jealous of, you'll start disliking the person. And when you dislike the person, you'll see all kinds of traits in that person which may not be there. So jealousy immediately pushes you into falsehood if you're not careful. First step is to acknowledge maybe there's nothing wrong with the person except that he's got what I wanted. But that's not a weakness or a bad thing in him. I'm disliking the person because I'm jealous. So that's bringing a first level of truth to the jealousy. So that's why Mother's saying that jealousy is a deadly poison that is fatal to the soul. Ugly thoughts bring ugly feelings. Ugly feelings take you away from the divine and throw you defenseless in the arms of the devil, the anti-divine forces who wants only to swallow you up. And that is the source of endless sorrow and suffering. All these are Mother's words. Do not let the mud of ugly thoughts and low feelings stain your consciousness and take you out of my protection. So, Mother's protection is always there, but if I'm sheltering negative thoughts, ill will, hostility, there's also the law of nature, right? Her protection is there, but if I'm opening my doors to rats and pests, they will enter my house. I can't blame her for that. So if I want her protection, it's very important to keep myself in a state of goodwill and joy. Fatigue comes from resistance and worry. Physical fatigue also comes when you're resisting grace and you're worrying. Do not worry, let go, and the fatigue will also go. Further, Mother's words. The cure from all difficulties can come only when the egoistic concentration from one's desires and conveniences ceases. Never lose hope, for hope is a divine virtue. For your heart to remain happy, keep it always filled with gratefulness. Gratefulness is the sure way to the divine. So gratitude, Mother says, is a vibration very slightly different from love. And if you notice, any genuine movement of gratitude will always bring you a heart smile, isn't it? So there's a saying in Hindi, Shukrana Muskrana. The two go together. If you're grateful, you'll always be smiling from within. So, and finally, she emphasizes that for a seeker of the divine truth, there is no difference between yoga and life, between inner and outer. In the integral yoga, there is no distinction between sadhana and the outer life. It is in each and every moment of the daily life that the truth must be found and practiced. To lead the divine life does not depend on any exterior activity or circumstances. Whatever you do, from the highest work to the most ordinary, you can lead the divine life. So in Mother's yoga, if I eat a simple meal connected to my heart, remembering Mother, I'm doing something higher than if I'm giving very lofty lectures, but to get praise for it and not from my source. So Sri Aurobindo says it very beautifully. For your purposes, it's better to be an efficient shoemaker than an incompetent king. A king everyone will look up to, but if you're incompetent and you're not growing, for your purposes it's useless. It's better to be a simple, efficient shoemaker. So the divine hierarchy is very, very different from our social hierarchy. Fear is another and a more destructive agent. Mother says fear is a bad counselor. Whenever you're afraid, your fear will give you the worst possible advice. Never listen to it. Fear is a bad counselor. It acts like a magnet and attracts what we fear. Whatever we fear, we actually focus on it so much that we are attracting it into our life. One must, on the contrary, keep a calm certitude that sooner or later all will be well. Also, to be pessimistic has never been of use except to draw upon oneself just the things one fears. One must, on the contrary, drive off all pessimistic thoughts and compel oneself to think only of what one wants should happen. That's what we did in the concentration, right? It's not enough to offer our darkness, but also the opposite of what, suppose there's an outcome we fear. It's beautiful to visualize its opposite and offer that also to the mother. Okay, this is a beautiful passage by Partho, my Vedanta teacher. Somebody asked Partho, what is the way out of fear? We fear, he says, because we have a fragmented experience. And a fragment always fears the rest of the whole. So I told you at the beginning of our session that we think we are an individual who's experiencing the cosmos. But actually we are the cosmos having the experience of being an individual. And if I am the cosmos, I can't fear anything because everything is myself. But because I don't know this and I'm living a fragmented experience thinking that I'm just this, I live with fear. So, we fear because we have a fragmented experience, and a fragment always fears the rest of the whole. When there is Kalyan Shraddha, faith in the goodness of life, the cosmos acts for you. On the other hand, when you give in to fear and panic, you become an instrument of the forces of darkness. This is very important. When you give in to fear and panic, you become an instrument of the forces of darkness. And I saw this just last week. I had a student who'd had a very bad fight with a relative, and she was already feeling low. And suddenly she saw reels on Instagram which put all kinds of unnecessary fears of health into her, and she reached a point where she told me, I don't want to live. And I'm saying, what's this? This is a perfectly happy woman with everything going well for her except for one day. But because when she had this fight with a relative and she opened her doors to fear and negativity, the universe found a way to put more fear and negativity into her. That's the thing. Whatever your charge is, you'll attract things from the universe to enhance that charge, and then it becomes an endless cycle. Then of course when she opened to the mother, she turned around in one day. It's like that. From being someone who said, I don't want to live, she was full of life and joy and enthusiasm in one day. So that whole formation couldn't have been real, right? It was just a creation of her mind. But that's what Mother's saying, that on the other hand, when you give in to fear and panic, you become an instrument of the forces of darkness. Remember that. Whenever you give in to fear and panic, you become an instrument of the forces of darkness. In moments of crisis, the key is not to harbor any fear. Fear can be replaced by a knowing that the universe is a larger body of the divine, and that fear has no place in it. Fear can be replaced by the knowing that the universe is a larger body of the divine, and that fear has no place in it. Whenever fear comes, try only for 10 minutes. Step back and say, let the universe take care of it. Transfer the charge of the crisis to the divine and observe what happens. The condition is, once you have given over the charge, do not resort to any plan B. That is the difficulty. I'll give charge to the mother, but then I'll keep thinking, but maybe I should also do this, maybe I should also do that. Do not resort to a plan B. It is a surrender that comes from a deeper understanding of your being that this is so. When this faith comes, two things happen. One, the universe corrects itself. Mother said this in her own way. Beautiful what she said. She said that whenever you're fearing something and suddenly you get a faith that it will work out, that faith means that that positive outcome has already been sanctioned on a higher plane. So that's what Partho is also saying, that when this faith comes, two things happen. The universe corrects itself. Everything outside falls into place. Two, you will understand the reason for what is happening. Sometimes you don't understand why this person's behaving so irrationally, why this is happening. But if you just do this, if you step back, you tell mother, now it's your baby, Shraddhaya Deyam, I'm giving it to you. I'm not going to have any plan B, I'm just going to wait and watch. And in that silence, when your mind stops focusing on the problem, you intuit the solution. You see why it has happened, and you'll also know how it can be resolved sometimes. Sometimes things may still go wrong, but you will get a perfect understanding of why it has to go wrong. This is so beautiful. If you at least understand why it has to go wrong, you don't have so much angst about it. And you will not try to stop it from going wrong. Then the resistance is gone, and with the resistance, the pain too goes. Okay, this is a beautiful, beautiful episode in Udarji's life. Udarji was a disciple very, very close to the mother and has had beautiful experiences with her. So this is his words. In 1972, for Sri Aurobindo's birth centenary, the government of India asked the mother to select two people, one to go to the east and one to go to the west to give talks on Sri Aurobindo and his philosophy. The government would bear all the expenses. So the government told Sri Aurobindo Ashram that send one person to the east, one person to the west. To go to Japan and other eastern countries, the mother chose Shishir Kumar Ghosh, and to go to the west, the mother chose me, Udar Pinto. I was really shocked and not at all happy. I asked her, Mother, why pick on me? I know about Sri Aurobindo, but I can't talk about his philosophy. So opposite of what normal human egos are, they'll jump to showcase themselves. But here, as you'll hear later, he didn't want to leave the mother. He told the mother that here I see you every day. This is my heaven. Why are you pulling me out of this heaven and throwing me somewhere where I won't get to see you? So mother saw that and she asked, are you still not happy about it? I replied, no mother, I'm not happy. Yes, I can see that, but tell me why, mother asked. I said, Mother, I'm revealing it because you are asking, otherwise I wouldn't speak about it. You know I see you 3 or 4 times a day, every day, morning, afternoon, evening and night. Meet you so often, and what a wonderful thing it is to be with you. Now I don't want to leave all this and go wandering about in foreign countries. I'm not interested in travel. I don't want to see anything, to go anywhere. I only want to be with you. And you're asking me to leave all this and go traveling off to all those places. How can I be happy? The mother said, yes, Udar, I supposed as much, but you have to go. Then she said something which I can never forget. She said, Udar, I give you my solemn promise that wherever you are, I will be closer to you than I am now, sitting here in front of you. You have only to call me and I will be with you at once. Anytime you want me, I will be there. At every moment, I will be with you. I asked the mother, how can I be sure that when I called her, it was she who came? that it was her voice that spoke to me. The mother herself had warned us about powers of darkness, and falsehood was so clever and cunning that they would imitate her present. So I was puzzled. The mother replied at once, Udar, there is one veil through which falsehood cannot pass. It is the veil of sincerity. As long as you are sincere to me, be sure it is I who come to you and not a false image or voice. This heartened me greatly, as now I knew that I had to concentrate on being sincere towards her, to love her, to her work. I asked mother what plans and preparations I should make. The mother said she herself did not know, but she would ask Sri Aurobindo. She went within herself for some time and then came back to her outer consciousness, said to me in a very solemn voice, He whom I call the Lord has said, tell him not to make any plans or preparations. What has to be done, I will do, Sri Aurobindo has said. He will be shown the way. I went, and really when in difficulty I called her, and immediately the difficulty solved. Also, as the mother had asked me not to, I made no plans. Some people made certain plans for me, but I myself made none, nor did I prepare any speeches. Let me tell you a wonderful tale. There was a sort of 3-day seminar, an inter-religious conference at Cornell University. Leaders of all the religions of the world was invited. Each one was asked to speak about his own religion so that everybody could know about the beliefs of others. The people who were making plans for me asked the organizers of the conference whether I could also come and speak. The organizers wrote a very nice letter saying they were sorry, but they had been preparing for this conference for 2 years and were ready to start in a few weeks. They could not put in a new speaker, they said. I could come and join in the discussions. They would be very happy. Of course, they wrote very reasonably. One cannot change one program at the last minute. Then soon after, I received an urgent telegram reminding me of our offer and their reply. Their chief speaker had fallen ill. Would I come and be the chief speaker? I replied, certainly I'll come. They asked, will you please send your speech? I replied, I don't prepare my speeches. I'll speak extempore. They said that is quite all right. Thus the mother made me the chief speaker at the conference. I went to the conference and spoke. I don't know what I said. I didn't prepare my speech, so I do not remember. I spoke the words which came to me from the mother. It seemed to have made a great impact. The other people spoke. It was a bit dull. It didn't interest me so much, but I had to sit through 3 days of it. The last speaker, however, was very interesting. I'm skipping this bit. It was by all accounts a successful tour, and the mother was pleased when he came back. When I gave talks, in order to look elegant, I wore a silk dhoti and kurta and silk scarf. It was quite impressive. It seemed to have created a certain impact. Some people started calling me Swamiji. I was amused and said, please stop this. I'm not a Swamiji or anything. The mother has sent me here, so I have come. After that, they kept quiet. I don't know how the mother came to know about this. There was nobody who could have informed her that people had started calling him Swamiji. But she knows everything. When I came back, she asked, they called you Swamiji? Yes, mother, I replied. But I soon stopped it. She said, I'm glad you stopped it. Because if you ever fall into that trap, wherever you are, I will come and break your head. I replied, please, mother, please, dear mother, I don't want to fall into any trap. I have no intention of being any Swamiji. For me, you are the only one. She said, yes, I know, and that is why I am telling you all this. Then she continued, Udar, those who take our force, Sri Aurobindo's and mine, and try to build up their own image with it, they are traitors to our work. So beautiful. Whenever we try to make our ego big in their name, we are being traitors to their work. Remember that. I said, Mother, I know this. You don't need to tell me all of it. She said, yes, I know. I know that you understand. Remember that you have come here for a great transformation work. Anybody who tries to build up their own image is a traitor. Try to understand what I'm telling you. So Mother was very clear. In her yoga, only she and Sri Aurobindo are the gurus. None of their disciples have the mandate to be gurus, because nobody is them, no, they are the avatars. She said, at the most you can be a child leading other children to the parent. That's the role you have. But to go on an ego trip, a self-styled guru, there's no place for that in her work. So, this was Udarji's experience. Now, this beautiful piece I got from the net. I don't know the author, but it's beautiful, so I included it. Consider a mountain for a moment. It appears completely still, yet it's tremendously powerful. It doesn't struggle against storms. It allows them to pass. It doesn't chase sunsets. It simply receives the light. So this piece is asking us to be like a mountain, so solid in our faith that it doesn't move when storms come. And when sunlight, which represents beautiful things in our life, it doesn't grab the sunlight. It doesn't get excited by the sunlight. It doesn't fear that, oh, when will the sunlight go away? So this is a beautiful way to be. It doesn't struggle against storms. It allows them to pass. It doesn't chase sunsets. It simply receives light. Rivers flow around it. Seasons change upon it. Yet it remains centered in its own presence. There's a lot to learn from the mountain. If we look at us, many of us have this constant need to please people, to get affirmation from the world outside, to feel good about ourselves only when people see us as good. The root cause of that is we don't have that affirmation from inside us. We don't feel complete and whole inside our skin. Now a mountain in this metaphor feels so complete in itself that it doesn't diminish with storms. It doesn't increase with sunrises. It stays what it is. And I think a very important practice of what Mother calls individualization is to find an affirmation inside ourselves. See, at the beginning of class with the mantra Shraddhaya Deyam, I asked you to think of a negative emotion that comes to you again and again. For many people, the negative emotion is feeling disappointed because so and so didn't give me the attention I wanted, so and so didn't give me the praise I wanted. But go deeper. What's the root of that negativity? The root of that negativity is an inadequacy, not feeling good in my skin, not feeling enough in myself. So the more real shadow to offer is this lack of self-affirmation, this lack of the capacity to be like a mountain grounded in myself. It doesn't matter to me. I don't need you to like me to like myself. That's the way our inner dialogue is. We like ourselves in proportion to how much others like us. But that's a very silly way to live. How much others like us is going to be quicksilver. shifting sands. We can't build our happiness on that. We have to find a way of being where we get our affirmation from within us, from the presence of Mother within us. So, rivers flow around it, seasons change upon it, yet it remains centered in its own presence. This is the kind of stillness that moves worlds. When you learn to breathe into this mountain-like stillness, something extraordinary happens. Reality begins rearranging itself around you instead of against you. This is what that passage of Partho I read out said. When things go wrong, instead of giving in to fear, become still, surrender, decide that you're handing over the charge of it to the divine. So, reality begins rearranging itself around you instead of against you. Opportunities that you could never have forced begin appearing naturally. People who can assist you seem to cross your path precisely at the right moment. Solutions to the problems you could be wrestling with suddenly become obvious. This isn't magic, it's quantum physics. This is what we've been exploring in our yoga classes, where quantum physics says that there's a quantum field, a field of possibilities, and physicists have found that we write on that quantum field with every breath we breathe. Because when we are agitated, our breath is of one kind. And that breath writes agitation, energetic agitation on that quantum field, and we attract more agitating events into our life. But if we breathe with peace like this mountain, we are writing peace onto the quantum field, and we attract things that will bring us more into peace and harmony. Therefore, in Zen, there's a saying, your only business in life is to breathe well. Rest is life's business. If you breathe well with faith, with Shraddha, Shraddhaya Deyam, and keep yourself whole, the universe outside corrects itself. This isn't magic, it's physics. When you are in a state of stillness and coherence, you are no longer broadcasting the chaos signals of desperation, control, or struggle. Instead, you're emanating the clear frequency of trust, receptivity, and alignment. The field responds to this clarity by organizing circumstances to match your state. Consider a hurricane's eye all around its winds rage and hundreds of miles per hour, at hundreds of miles per hour. Destruction and chaos swirl in every direction, but at the very center is perfect calm and perfect stillness. From that center, the entire storm system is organized. This is the kind of stillness you can cultivate within yourself. Not the stillness of someone who's given up, but the stillness of someone who has learned to be their own life's organizing principle. Because you're organizing your life through your state of being. You organize your inner state, the outside gets organized. So you're being still not as somebody who's given up, but as somebody who's the master of the organizing principle in your life. The difference between control and alignment becomes crystal clear in this stillness. Control attempts to manipulate external circumstances to match internal desires. Very clear, no? Control is, I have this desire, and I'm trying to call this one, get that done, manipulate circumstances to fulfill that desire. Alignment, on the other hand, allows internal coherence to magnetize external harmony. Alignment means when I'm in a state of alignment and peace, that alignment magnetizes external harmony into my life. Control is exhausting because you're fighting against life's natural flow. Alignment is effortless because you're cooperating with it. So beautiful. When you're controlling, you're trying to go against the flow of life. But alignment, you're just being like that mountain. You're in the flow of life, and everything you need comes to you. When you breathe consciously, when you rest in the quantum gap is the creative principle of stillness. A still consciousness is a very powerful consciousness. When you breathe consciously, when you rest in the quantum gap, when you inhabit your inner temple fully, you are trying to make things happen. You are not trying to make things happen. You're allowing things to happen through you. You become a clear channel for the universe's intelligence to express itself in your life. So this is the whole emphasis of any yoga, more importantly Sri Aurobindo's yoga. When storms come, instead of battling the storm, battle the storm inside you. That's your real fight. Because the external storm has been sent by the divine to create that storm inside so that all your inner samskars come out and you bring consciousness to them and you get free of them. So your battle is not to fix the outer storm, your battle is always to fix the inner storm. Then you access the breath of grace in your life. So let's end with 3 Oms, hands together in a Namaste. I'm out of town next Tuesday.